to kill the party vibe with this one. But I think it's going to get a whole lot better. You're going to have a lot of fun. Now, this, of course, is the Liars Club. It is our comedy panel show. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you each and every one of our 3 panelists. Now, before they come in the room, they can't hear me yet, but what I did is I put this introduction together for them, and I went on their Facebook pages, their personal Facebook pages, and I pulled out some baby photos of them. They don't know I'm doing this right now, so I pulled out some baby photos of them, and they don't know that these photos are up there, so be polite, of course, when I do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our 3 panelists, and first and foremost, we're going to bring up, yes, it is David from your activities staff. Here he comes. David coming all the way from Welsh. Next up, our next panelist is, it's your hotel director, Sue, coming all the way from England, yes. Sue had 2 older brothers, and that's why this is one of her favorite childhood photos. And last but not least, he's your master of ceremonies and cruise director, it's Paul. We're not sure which one is Paul in that photo, but we'll figure it out. Oh. Ooh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as I said, this is the Liars Club. These are your panelists. Now, what's going to happen is I will explain to you how the show is going to work. Now, tonight, we will put a number of... David, please, focus. All right, we will put a number of different words up on the board. We will give you a word. Then our 3 panelists will give David... Focus, please. Thank you. The panelists will give you their definitions. Now, the 3 of them will give you a definition, but only one of them can tell the truth. Now, one of them will be telling the truth. Now, because you're the audience, we need some audience etiquette out there. So now, if you believe that one of the panelists is telling the truth, at their end of their definition, and only at the end of their definition, we'd like you to give them a nice, polite golf clap. No, of course not. We want you to say, yeah, cheer for them, be excited, give them a big round of applause. Let's hear that ovation. Yeah! Yes, if they're telling the truth, that's what we want. But if you don't think they're telling the truth, if you don't buy into what they're saying, we want you to say, at the end of their definition, of course, we want you to say,
are you okay
liar.
Are you okay up there, Mark?
I'm okay.
Okay, I'm
just
okay.
worried for you. I'm getting excited because I didn't get to speak when we were doing the other show, so I'm trying to get all the words in I can. All right, so at the end of their definition, we want you to say liar as loud as you can. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3. Liar! I like that. You're ready to roll. You're ready to go. All right, so I think we are ready for our first word, and here it comes up on the board. Your first word, it is... Blenophobia. Blenophobia is the first word. I assure you they are real words. We looked them up on Wikipedia. So we're going to start off. Everything on the internet's true, right?
Where did you hear that?
I heard it on the internet. Yeah, of course. All right. Oh, excuse me, ma'am. We're going to have to ask you to leave. Go on. All right. So we're going to start right over here. With Paul, your cruise director. Paul, please, your definition.
All right, first and foremost, I'd like to say how happy and honored I am to be with all of you here tonight. Liar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this particular word, we're all in agreement that phobia is a fear of something, correct? Yeah. All right. And the front there, blen, is more of a mixture or movement, if you will. And then you have the letter O, which is a vowel. So altogether, blenophobia is the fear of a vowel movement. That's might stick. All right, no, that's not true. That's not true. It is not true, ladies and gentlemen. As we continue on, I want you to think back to your days of elementary school. And just like me, perhaps you were in schools where in the school cafeterias, they served your food on these partitioned plates or trays. And some kids grew up also, I'm not done yet. Also, ladies and gentlemen, these same children, not only being served the food on partition plates or trays at school, are also served on the same type of plates at home. And that is what blenophobia is the fear of your foods mixing or touching prior to consumption. It's called blenophobia. Obviously, you don't suffer from it, so you wouldn't know. So.
All right, well, thank you very much, Paul, for your informative definition. And we're going to move on to our hotel director, Miss Prim and Proper right over there, Sue. So, Sue, would you please give us your definition?
Oh. Yes. As a matter of fact, Paul is correct in some part. Phobia, of course, means a fear of. But the question is, what is it a fear of? And blenophobia is actually a fear of slime. You know, in 2008, before I joined Celebrity, I was working for another cruise line company, and I had the pleasure to head out to Papua New Guinea. Anyone been out there before? Yeah. Okay, so you may well have been out to see the...
You haven't been to Papua New Guinea. You liar. She thinks you're a liar.
So you'll know that if you ever go out to the villages, you see the local tribesmen, and they're wearing this various different colors of sort of a slimy paint. Usually the color means, it has a meaning. The red normally means somebody with wealth or success. And I actually was invited by the ship's agent to head out to a circumcision ceremony. And the slime was actually...
I've never really understood circumcision. I mean, why cut it off before you know how big it's going to be?
That was my joke.
Liar. He took it.
And at the circumcision ceremony, actually, all the small gentlemen, or small boys, were actually...
Small now.
They actually were sporting a white, slimy paint. And all of the guests who were invited to the ceremony were asked to actually paint their faces also with the white, slimy paint. And many of the guests actually refused because they had blenophobia.
I've got no hope.
Sounds like a fun tour, Sue.
It was a great tour.
Apparently, it's a long tour that gets cut short.
All right, now we're going to pass it on to David right there at the end. Now, David, based on what the two other panelists have given us, I think the audience might actually believe you.
Good evening, everyone. Blenophobia is made up of two words. Bleno and phobia. For all those people who don't know me, I come from a country called Wales. Anybody know where Wales is by way of applause? Okay, make some noise if you don't know where Wales is. Yeah. Okay, education, education, education. If you don't know, just ask the people who just applauded. It's kind of a small country on the side of England. Now, thank you. That's Scotland, but thanks for trying. And Wales. All right. What is this? Anyone else?
It's okay, sir. I remember my first beer also. It's okay. We'll let it.
Yes, it's full of them. Well done, sir. Amazing. No. And from where I live, it's quite a rough area. And I always say to people, I'm like, I come from Wales, and they're like, well, what state is that? I'm like, well, it's in a bad state, actually. And my mother, she's there's only one word to describe my mother: mental. And this is a true story. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a true story. And one day, I was about 16 years of age, and my mother's watching television, and I'm facing my mother, and the TV's here. So she's like flicking through and putting the remote down and reading a magazine. And I have my socks. I don't know when you're at home, you want to make yourself comfortable. I took my socks off, rolled it in a ball, which is now a weapon. And I thought it was really funny to hit my mother with the socks from across the room. It's like target practice. So she's reading. And I throw the sock, and it goes, hits her on the arm. And she's like, will you stop it? She went, put your socks away. So I'm like, so I pick the socks up. She's reading again. I throw the sock. This time, top of the head. She went, I swear, if you throw these socks at me again, you're gonna regret it. Don't throw the socks again. I'm 16 years old. She gets the magazine. I do a false throw. She goes to block her with the magazine. Do a second throw. She blocks her with the magazine. Threw it the second time. Done a lob shot. She went with the magazine. It went over the magazine, straight in the face, without blinking. She picked up the remote control, threw it across the room, and smashed me straight in the forehead. No word of a lie. Right in the middle of the forehead. I was bleeding. On my forehead, it said Samsung. No word of a lie. That's the closest I've ever come to being on television. Now, blenophobia.
All that for that.
Shut up, Mark. Blenophobia is the fear of being struck. You're welcome.
All right, a fear of being struck. Okay. All right, that took a little while. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to each one of our panels and just get them to give us a quick little recap of their definitions, because I've totally lost track. So, Paul, your definition once again, please.
It was the fear of your foods mixing or touching together prior to consumption. It's true because it's said right here on my paper.
All right, great. It's on your paper, so it must be true. And, Sue, your definition once again, please.
It's a fear of slime.
Okay. And last but not least, David, once again, really quick to the point.
Good evening, everyone. Blenophobia, the fear of being struck, like me, in the face. Thanks for your support, Mark.
My pleasure, David. All right, who thinks Paul's telling the truth? Who thinks Paul is lying? Who thinks Sue is telling the truth? 3 ladies. Ladies, are you related to Sue by any chance back there? Or no? Okay. Who thinks Sue's lying? And who thinks David's telling the truth? And who thinks he's lying?
Liar!
Who thinks everyone on the panel's lying?
Who thinks Mark's lying? Liar!
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask. There is one truth teller on the panel, so would the truth teller please stand up? Oh, who's it going to be? Is it going to be the person telling the truth? And the person telling the truth is Sue. That's right. Yes, blenophobia. It is the fear of slime. Yes, the fear of slime. So if you're keeping score at home,
That kid has been circumcised.
No! Take me out of New Guinea! Ah!
all right. Who's ready for word number 2? Oh. Well, here it is.
Nobody.
Nobody, no. You've already committed to this. You're in it for the whole hour. All right, here we go. The next word is. Really? All right, it's prickmadam. 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 Yeah, that's it. It's prickmadam. All right, so we say it again. No, all right, because I'm gonna giggle. All right, so we're gonna start in the middle this time. We'll start off with
Sue, how do you pronounce this word, Sue?
Prick madame.
We're so mature, aren't we? All right, so we're going to start off with Sue, our hotel director, giving us a definition of prick madame.
And it is an English word, as a matter of fact, prick madame. And this dates back to Victorian times. And for the ladies out there, you may have remembered from your grandmas, perhaps when they have their sewing kits out. And typically, I know it is, isn't it? But this word is boring. And
History, boring!
and back in the Victorian times, one of the ladies' favorite pastimes was sewing. And so typically what they used to do, they used to have a thimble either on their thumb or their forefinger
Was it
whilst
made out
they
of
were
plastic
sewing.
or was it?
No, it was made out of metal. And it would prevent the ladies from pricking themselves. But the most important thing was most of the thimbles back in those days would have typically a coat of arms on the thimble. But many also had painted faces of beautiful ladies. And that's why it's called a prick madame.
What do you know? You don't even know where Wales is.
All right, well, thank you very much, Sue, for that informative and educational and boring definition.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. Of course it's the truth. All right. So we're going to send it on to the end to David. David, your definition, please, of prick madame.
Thanks, Mum. Good evening, everyone. So, prick madame. It's made up of 2 words. Prick and madame. For all those people who don't know in the audience, I come from a country called Wales. If you know... and this is a true story. Me and my dad, we lived together for a while. It was kind of like kidnapped, but my mother didn't know about it. But I lived with my father for a while, and he shares a garden with an Englishman. Now, I don't know if you know the history about Wales and England. Well, you probably don't, because you don't even know where Sean Connery's from, but not you, sir. Basically, we hate the English. No offense, Sue. No offense, but the English guy, his name was Ted. And what's wrong with the name Ted?
Theodore sounds more eloquent, you know.
Well, his name was Ted. And we shared the same garden. At the bottom of the garden, like our garden was full of moss and shrubbery, and it was a horrible garden. Like my dad was lazy. And Ted's garden was like, it's so prim and proper, I'm so English. But we didn't have a fence. At the bottom of the garden, there was a bush. Now, my father had chickens because he said the only thing that could live off this land is animals. All right, lady. You can go to bed. Anyway, no, true, I love you. Let me just get to the end of the story, otherwise we'll be here all night. At the end of the garden, this is going to get even funnier. I know the end of this joke. It's hilarious. I wish I was out there watching this part right now. So at the end of the garden was a bush. And we had some chickens, and the chicken one day went down and laid an egg in the bush. Now, Ted came over, and he said, your chicken laid an egg in my bush. It's my bush. My dad was like, it's my chicken, my egg. He's like, well, it's my bush, my egg. So that my father was like, okay, well, let's settle this like gentlemen. So at the bottom of the garden, I watched it from my swing. I was only young. He said, okay, we're going to settle this by gentlemen. What we're going to do, we're going to kick each other in the man things. And the first one to get up gets to keep the egg. So the Englishman's like, okay. So my dad stood there. He said, I'll go first. My dad went first. So the Englishman stood there, braced himself. My dad done a big run up, kicked the man straight between the legs, straight in its man things. The Englishman went down like a sack of potatoes. My father went, you can keep the egg. Prick Madame is a mossy garden that spreads easily.
All that to get to that. Somebody likes the spotlight. All right, we're going to bring it on over to Paul. Paul, if you can bring this panel show back
I will
together,
do
please.
what I can. Prick Madame is the name you give to a gray-haired elderly woman after she takes your parking spot. All right. Boring lady liked it. That's it. Well, Prick Madame, I found out this word when I was attending an animal rights barbecue. And my friend, he was working. Round of applause. Ever been to the Seminole casinos in Florida? Round of applause. Ever been to these? They are scattered all throughout the Sunshine State. And my friend, he works there. He's Indian. Actually, he's half Indian, half Italian. When you greet him, he goes, "How you doing?" And so, what we found out, ladies and gentlemen, for this particular word here for Prick Madame, he was talking about, let's see, the different tribes that are all throughout the world. But when you think back, ladies and gentlemen, you think of like the Indians there, the Eskimo Indians, the Inuits up there, Alaska and that Yukon territory. What a Prick Madame is, it's a series of sturdy wooden sticks that connect together to form an A-frame structure used to dry animal hide or fish. So I found out this word from a friend. He was Indian. That is what a Prick Madame is. It's a structure used to dry fish or animal hide. So that's it. No one yelled boring. I'm going to stop there.
All right, well, thank you very much, Paul. All right, so what we'll do right now is a quick recap because some of those stories really just put me to sleep. All right, so Sue, once again, please, your definition very quickly, concisely, briefly.
Victorian lady's thimble.
Victorian lady's thimble. Okay. David, your definition once again.
It's a mossy garden herb that spreads easily.
Mossy garden herb that spreads easily. Okay. And Paul, once again, your definition, please.
It's the hair around a whale's blowhole. Oh, I'm sorry. I was ahead of myself. It's a series of wooden sticks that form an A-frame used to dry animal hide or fish.
All right, well, thank you, Paul. All right, who thinks Sue is telling the truth? Who thinks Sue is lying? Who thinks David's telling the truth? Who thinks David is lying? And who thinks Paul is telling the truth? And who thinks Paul is lying? All right, well, I'm going to ask, would the panel is telling the truth? Please stand up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the person telling the truth is, believe it or not, it is... Yes, David. David is telling the truth. The prickmadam, a mossy garden herb that spreads easily. Yes.
Liar.
All right, well, we are going to move on to word number 3. Like I said, you're committed to the whole show, so you're getting it all. Here it comes. This is word number 3. Yes, pissabed. Pissabed is word number 3. And we're gonna start it off way at the end. I can't wait to see what comes out of his mouth. It's David, your activity staff.
Good evening. Pissabed. It's made out of 2 words. Piss and a bed. For all those people who don't know, I come from a country called Wales, and this is a true story. Pissabed is it's what incontinent Italians do. A piece of bed.
Hold on, David. I might write that one down. That was good.
That's all I have. No, pissabed. Basically, I come from a country called Wales, and this is a true story. My brother, he's a bit younger than me. We were out just having, a bit of fun in the field, just playing soccer or football, which it should be called. Americans, it's called English. You ruined it. And we were playing football, and we were taking a break, and I was just messing around. You know when you're lying on grass and you pick grass up, and you just throw it to the wind, just like a movie. Picking grass up, throwing it into the wind. And my brother was doing the same. We were just hanging out.
Go on, get to the point.
So anyway, pissabed is an effect the dandelion weed has on the body.
What? Could you say that again?
He's just here for the wine, Mark. This is obvious.
You just wanted me to get to the point. It's an effect, a dandelion weed. Anybody know what a dandelion is? Yeah. It's like school. It's an effect the dandelion weed has on the body. I would have had a really funny story to go with it, but you've all upset me now. I hope you all go home tonight and have an effect of the dandelion. Italian.
All right, well, thank you very much, David, for keeping that close and concise there. And
so pissabed is...
No.
What?
We're done, yeah. All right, we're going to bring it back around to Paul, please. Paul, your definition of pissabed.
Pissabed is the humbling experience that happens to many a spring breaker from an excessive night of partying. Pissabed is the quickest way to get thrown out of Bed Bath & Beyond. I know personally. So
I like that one.
Yeah,
Put it on your pen.
Thank you. All right. Well, I see Mark over here taking a dig at how we call soccer, you call it football, and so forth. But I will say that the English does have a very eloquent language. You listen to them speak; everything is with such posh and manner. The way they discuss everything so eloquently. I'm sure after a session of lovemaking, they say, "Oh, I believe I've arrived." So, now. Let me find out. Round of applause. Do we have any proud Americans in the room tonight? Do we have any Canadians in the house? Any guests from Serbia? Yes? Okay. No? Anyone from Serbia? Okay, this is a Serbian word, ladies and gentlemen. Let me educate here on that one there. No, believe it or not, I found out this particular word, ladies and gentlemen. I was on down to the medical center that we have here on board, and our doctor is all the way from South Africa. And round of applause if you've ever been to Mexico before. Round of applause, ever been to Mexico? I love Mexico. This one particular port we're cruising to was Cozumel, Mexico. I went ashore in that particular port of call, went to the beach, fell asleep on the beach, but forgot to wear my sunblock. Had this horrible sunburn. Upon returning back to the vessel, went to see the doctor, said, "Doc, I have this bad sunburn. I've got a show in about 6 hours. Do you have any ointment that you can give me for the sunburn?" He says, "No, Paul, but I'm going to prescribe you some Viagra." I said, "Doc, Viagra is going to cure my sunburn?" He says, "No, but it will keep the sheets off your skin." So, but while I was down there...
Not if you're circumcised.
Yeah. That's true. Then you already have the white ointment on already. That's right. So, I was thinking of piss-a-bed here, but we have Sue, our hotel director, oversees a very large operation. Mark, quick question. Do you know the difference between a shower curtain and toilet paper?
No.
Sue, we found the guy.
That's it. Okay.
All right, but anyway, very quick, let's get to the definition. Wash your hands.
And stay out. We're going to have to ask you to leave, sir.
No, what a piss-a-bed is. While I was down in the medical center, very quickly, I was thumbing through some magazines and found out what this particular word is. A piss-a-bed, ladies and gentlemen, is the light veil that was attached to the top of a high conical hat that was worn by women during the 15th century. Think those long cone-type hats, and there was a little veil up top. That is what that little veil up top is called. It's called a piss-a-bed. So,
All right.
educate you.
Everybody's so nice to you today.
Liar.
All right, it's time for a history lesson, so we're going to hand it on off to our hotel director, Sue, and we're looking forward to what you have to say there, Sue.
Okay, a piss-a-bed. Yes, it's 2 words, but actually, on this occasion, it is just 1 word. It's a piece of farm equipment. Do we have any farmers out there? Clearly not. Okay, well, after the farmers have typically plowed the field, the next step is to fertilize. And in
Plenty of that here tonight, I'll tell you that. So.
And in Wales, what happens is the farmer will have his tractor and he will be pulling what they call a muck spreader. In England, we call them manure spreaders. And, and the name of the conveyor that transport the fertilizer up into, well, the rotating spikes that then throws the muck out into the field is called a piss-a-bed. So it's actually a rotating conveyor that farmers use when they're fertilizing ploughed fields in Wales.
Why just Wales? You have to pick on me.
All right, well, thank you very much, Sue. All right, let's have a quick recap, if we would, for our guests. And,
Talking about whales, Mark. How do you circumcise a whale?
Bring it to New Guinea?
No. You send down 4 skin divers.
He could be your son.
All right, so let's have our quick recap, and we'll start off. David, your recap, please.
An effect that dandelion weed has on the body, Mark. Is that quick enough for you?
Yes, that is quick enough. Thank you very much. And Paul, yours.
The light veil attached to a top of a high hat worn by women during the 15th century. The piss-a-bed.
Thank you, Paul. And Sue, once again.
A moving conveyor in a manure spreader.
Thank you very much. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time right now for you to tell us who you think is telling the truth. So let's start off with your cruise director, Paul. Do you think he's telling the truth? And do you think he's lying? All right, who thinks Sue is telling the truth? Who thinks Sue is lying? And who thinks that guy at the end, David, is telling the truth? Who thinks he's lying? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to ask the panelists telling the truth to please stand up for us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the panelist telling the truth is... It's David. Yes.
Your face!
Yes, that's right. Piss-a-bed, an effect a dandelion weed has on the body. That's right, Piss-a-bed. David telling the truth
Now
2 in a
who's
row.
laughing?
That's right. Okay.
Feels good. It feels
Who's ready for one more? We'll give you one more. Yeah, you want one more? All right. Here comes the final word of the evening, and it is full fart. Yes, full fart. Your final word. And I think we're going to start back at the front. Paul, we'll start with you again.
Yes, full fart. While I was cruising on down to Mexico, ladies and gentlemen, Just a very quick story. There was a family, young family, 2 teenage boys. They went ashore, souvenir shopping in Cozumel, came back, and they were going to be heading out for the day at sea, cruising on back. I think it was to Houston, Texas, the port city there of LaPorte, Texas. And cruising on back for that final day at sea, they were going to go outside to go sunbathing. Now, the boys went ahead. The mother and father stayed there in the room. And the woman said, "Wait, I'm putting on my bathing suit. Just let me use the bathroom 1 second." She went into the bathroom and was sitting down, just using the restroom, doing her business. And she went to go reach to grab the sunblock to bring outside. The sunblock fell down on the ground, and reaching down to grab it, her elbow, while she's sitting on the toilet, her elbow hit the toilet flusher. While she's sitting on there, all of a sudden she feels this. She has now vacuum sealed herself to the toilet. She can't even move. The more she pulls, the more tough and stiffer it gets. She kicks open the door, says, "Honey, can you come over here? This is so embarrassing. I accidentally flushed the toilet, and I'm stuck." The husband starts laughing. She is infuriated. She says, "Well, help me." He tries pulling on her. She is more stuck, more stuck. He says, "Just stay here. I'll get some help from the hallway." She's like, I'm sitting here naked, honey. Get me something to cover myself up with." So he thinks, hey, we were in Cozumel, Mexico just yesterday. He goes back into the bedroom. Underneath the bed, he pulls out one of those souvenir sombreros that his teenage boy had picked. He puts it on top of the woman's lap. The woman says, "Well, honey, what am I going to do? Just cover yourself up. I'm going to get some help. I'll be right back." All right, he goes into the hallway, grabs one of the crew members there from the Philippines, and explains to him, and says, "Listen, my wife sat down on the toilet," explains it. The crew member is trying not to laugh. He gathers his composure, goes inside. He now opens the door. Here is this woman, beet red with embarrassment, covering her breast there, and she's now sitting on the toilet, naked, with a Mexican sombrero covering her lap. Now, the crew member says to the lady, says, "Ma'am, I'm going to push a button that will reverse the vacuum mechanism of the toilet. Not to be alarmed. You will be able to freely stand up, but I'm afraid for the Mexican mariachi singer, he's a goner." So, but just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, for this particular ship, does anyone know the captain's name on this particular ship? You know his name? That's his stage name. His real name is actually Speaking. So he goes, "Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking." So listen to it. But this one particular ship, very quickly, this one captain was Norwegian. And for those that ever cruise with a Norwegian captain, they have a Viking tradition in their blood. And in fact, this one particular captain was on the bridge. He would call down as soon as we're pulling away from the port of call, and he would say, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement right now for the chief engineer. Chief engineer, ole, 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 give me quarter farta. And what that is, that means the ship is going a little bit more fast, because fart is kind of a speed in Norwegian. He calls down 10 minutes later, dung, dung, ole, 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 this is your captain speaking, give me half a farta. The ship is going a little bit more faster speed. At that point there, 10 minutes later, ding dong, ladies and gentlemen, ole, 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 give me full of farta. And the ship is going full speed, and that's what full fart is. It's the translation of full speed in the language of Norwegian. That's what it is. And it's really interesting. Come back into port, ole, ole, half a fart, slow down, quarter fart, slow down, until we come to a dead fart. And the ship comes to a complete stop, and this is given by the rear admiral on the poop deck. That's what it is.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. All right, we're going to send it your way, Sue, for your definition, please, of full fart.
Okay, full fart, 2 words. Fart, according to the Urban Dictionary, is another word for gasser, stinker, air biscuit, bombers, barking spiders, rotten eggs, wet ones, passing gas, breaking wind, blast beef, poof, rip one, let one fly, step on a duck, and cut the cheese.
I see you in a new light now, Sue.
Oh, my word.
If I could just have a recording of that alone. Oh, my.
But in England, we just pass a little gas or wind. But actually, flatulence, which is what full fart is used to diagnose disease in Chinese medicine. And for those that practice alternative medicine, there are actually experts who know how to sniff farts. It's true, and you can actually go to Chinese alternative medical practitioner. They're called full fart practitioners.
It's a crappy job.
And they can actually sniff the fart, and whether it has a bitter, a savory, a sweet, or a fishy odor, there are experts that are trained, and they can actually determine if you have intestinal bleeding or tumors. So full fart actually are practitioners. And it's a little bit like sniffing wine.
But it doesn't taste the same.
Correct.
How would you know?
All right, well, thank you very much, Sue, for your definition there. We definitely see you in a different light. All right, and we're going to send it all down to the end of the line. David, your definition, please.
Good evening, everyone. Full fart is made up of 2 words. Hang on, I'm going to get to that. It's made up of 2 words, full and fart. And for all those people who don't know in the audience, I come from a country called Wales. And it's a true story. I'll make it quick for everybody. I know that I've bored the living daylights out of you. But I used to have a girlfriend.
Liar. You're from Wales.
Listen, let me...
Nobody yelled liar, and they actually applauded. That's a double whammy for that song.
Listen, if you lay 1 brick, does that make you a bricklayer? No. If you lay 1 pipe, does that make you a plumber? No. I sleep with 1 sheep. Okay. Anyway, jokes. Okay, jokes aside, full fart. We're back to the word. Mother? Sorry, that was bad. No, funny enough, I actually went to college to study the agriculture and sheep. And in fact, when I qualified, I got a BAA. So I used to have a girlfriend, and this is a true story. We went for a meal. It was our anniversary, 3 weeks together, and we went to this restaurant, and we asked for a table. And the only table they had was near a fire, like the nice fireplace in Wales. It's a nice country, pub. And we went and sat there, and we ordered, and she ordered Brussels sprouts, which in Wales are called Welsh sprouts. And she ordered Welsh beans, and we were having a lovely meal. And now I need to explain something. There's 2 types of farts. There's the silent but violent. And then there's the full-on.
And David, the silent but violent, our guests might be familiar with those from their trips in the elevators on board the ship.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
You get in and...
Yeah. It's you know when there's a smell and there's a guy stood there going... That's him. So we were eating, and we had our first course, second course, and we were coming to the end. Now, I don't know if you're aware of the fire triangle. The training on board, safety is everybody's business. I had to learn about the fire, and I'm part of that too. So I learned the fire triangle. You need air, which at that time we had about 20% in that area. We need heat. We had a fire, and we need fuel. Brussels sprouts, beans. Now I just need to say, I'm very lucky to be here today.
Or not.
Depends on who you are. Because she let off what we call a full fart. And the end of the story is a couple of people died. The cottage burnt down with the pub. And we split up. Full fart. It means a full fart.
All right, well, thank you very much, David. Okay. Well, it is that time in the round where we get our panelists to give us a quick recap, and then we find out who you believe. So, Paul, once again, a quick recap of your definition.
Full fart is the fear of a slimy Chinese medicine practitioner that has an effect on a circumcised sheep herder in the dandelion field with a Welsh Sean Connery with full gas. No, full fart is the full speed in Norwegian. Ole, 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 give me full fart.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. And Sue, once again, your definition, please. Urban Dictionary, maybe?
These are experts trained in the sense of smell, able to sniff farts in order to detect any
Can we just have the list
diseases.
again? Will you just do the list one more time for me?
Yes.
The list, yes?
Yes. And David, while she's doing it, can you do the sign language for those guests here? So here we go.
Okay.
Sue, your list. What are
Other
they?
popular names for farts are gassers, stinkers, air biscuits, bombers, barking spiders, rotten eggs, wet ones, breaking wind, blast, beef, poof, rip one, let one fly, step on a duck, and cut the cheese.
Thank you very much.
That was awesome.
All right, and David, your definition once again for our audience, please.
Good evening, everyone. Full fart. It's a fart that's pretty much full.
All right, thank you very much, David. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, who thinks Paul's definition is the truthful one? And who thinks Paul is the liar?
Nobody.
All right, who thinks Sue is telling the truth? Ooh, better than last round. Who thinks Sue is lying? And who thinks the man at the end, David, is telling the truth? You don't even get a chance. Who thinks he's lying? All right, ladies and gentlemen, would the panelists telling the truth please stand up? Ladies and gentlemen, our truth teller for the final round is Paul. That's right, Paul. Full speed in Norwegian is a full fart. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the Liars Club. How about a big round of applause for our three panelists? Your cruise director, Paul. Your hotel director, Sue. And, of course, David from your activities staff. So thank you very much to our panelists. Of course, my name is Mark, your activities manager. This has been one of your many celebrity life activities on board. And we want to remind you there are 2 exits out of the lounge, one over here to your left.
Shadows growing long.